With the season fast approaching, Nick and I are going to bring you our lineup predictions for the Toronto Blue Jays in 2023. So that means against right-handed pitchers and against left-handed pitchers. And there's also a trade involving the AL East, so you won't want to miss this episode of Jays Digest. What's up, Jays fans? I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, alongside host Nick Gosse. We got a lot to get into today, but first I want to thank you all for the support that we've been getting. It's been unreal. We're so close to 6,000 subscribers. Hopefully we could be sending out a message tonight thanking you all.
Yeah, we're less than 10 subscribers away, so make sure to hit the subscribe button if you like the Daily Jays content. But without further ado, let's get into the first topic, which is our 2023 lineup prediction. And like you said, Peter, we're going to be going through from the right-handed side and the left-handed side as well regarding the opposing starting pitchers. So we're kind of combined our predictions and came up with one. We have a couple of, we'll make some comments throughout the way, but let's just get right into the first 1 to 3 versus right-handed pitchers. So we're starting off pretty normal here with Springer, Bichette, and Vlad. Now, Peter, do you think there's any arguments regarding the top three? I think the top three stays the same for both sides. I don't think there's much argument there whatsoever.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I think that top three is untouchable. You know, it's going to stay the same as long as those three guys stay healthy. And I mean, the rest of the lineup is kind of plug and play, interchangeable, depends who's hot. But those three guys, you don't really move them because they go as your offense goes, and it's as simple as that.
Yeah, completely agree. So 1 to 3 is pretty set, and we'll move on now, I guess, to 1 to 6, which could be a bit more controversial. But we have Belt at 4, Kirk at 5, and Varsho at 6. What was your reasoning behind, you can explain our reasoning behind putting Belt at 4, and I was watching a podcast the other day, actually, and they had the same thing there with Belt at 4. I think it's a great way to split up the, obviously, the right-handed hitters, and he could be our true DH this year, and I think he's going to get a lot of playing time, a lot more than, including myself, may have thought before the trade.
Well, that's one thing. That's one reason why I decided to put Brandon Belt there. It's because of the lefty righty thing. You know, you don't want to. You got all these left-handed bats now. You don't want to bunch them all up together. Now, is Belt a better hitter than Alejandro Kirk? I don't think so. But the power potential is definitely greater than what Kirk has. So if you slot down Kirk a little bit, maybe it gives him a little bit more protection. He doesn't have to do as much. And it gives Vladdy some more protection as well. You know, you put a lefty stick behind him that hits for a lot of power. That'll see his numbers rise a little bit too. So I think that's my reasoning behind it, putting Belt there. Kirk, I mean, self-explanatory. Just doesn't have the power to be a four hitter, I don't think. But in the 5 spot, I think he's perfectly suited for that. And Varsho, I mean, he's our star acquisition in the offseason, and you want to get him as many at bats as possible. Around great players as you can.
Yeah, completely agree. I like Belt at 4 a lot, and it makes the late game situations a bit harder for opposing managers splitting those up. So that's our 4 to 6, and let's get into the final 7 to 9 for the right-handed pitchers, which is Chapman, Merrifield, and Kiermaier at 9. Now you can make the argument to put Kiermaier where Merrifield is and have Merrifield at the 9 spot to flip over the lineup there. But do you have any thoughts on this? I kind of like Chapman at 7, and the 8 and 9 could switch, but I'm a pretty fan with this overall.
I could even argue for Chapman being 6th ahead
Yeah.
of Varsho and then Varsho 7th. Uh, the reason why I put Kiermaier 9th, obviously he's the weakest hitter of the bunch, and that kind of splits up again lefty righty. So if you put Merrifield 9th, yes, he's a great second leadoff hitter in that 9 spot, but then you have 4 righties in a row, and then you're kind of accentuating the same problem that you kept running into in 2022. So I think it's good to have a lefty be the last hitter in that lineup to kind of break it up and then throw it off to the righties. But I wouldn't be surprised if Chapman in a contract year gets to hit 6th as opposed to Dalton Varsho coming to a new team and you don't necessarily know what you're going to get from the guy. And Merrifield should be the everyday second baseman against righties.
Yeah, completely agree. And I guess let's move on to lefties now. I have nothing else to say about that. So let's get into the lefty. Now, 1 to 3 is the exact same, so we won't touch on that too much. The exact same reasons we gave for the right-handed side. Phenomenal. It's not going to change. Maybe, if stuff goes cold, maybe they change 2 and 3, but Springer is definitely a leadoff hitter of the year, assuming no injuries. Now, from 4 to 6 versus left-handed pitchers, we have Kirk at 4, Chapman at 5, and Jensen at 6. So switching it up a fair bit here from the right-handed side. What are your thoughts on the on this? Obviously, Belt is going to be out of this lineup against lefties because we have a plethora of other right-handed hitters in the bench.
And Belt can hit against left-handed pitchers. There's no argument to be made against that. But I think this is probably your most solid top six that you have to offer against lefties. You could even make the case yet again to put Chapman at four, Kirk at five. I just don't think the power is there. And in a contract year, I think Chapman could hit close to 30 home runs, have a 750 to 800 OPS, and just be the star player. Not maybe to the same extent that he was in Oakland, but I really expect a huge season out of Matt Chapman this year.
Yeah, I agree. I think from the we have a lot, obviously a lot of right-handed hitters, so I think we'll be able to dominate the left-handed pitchers. Well, let's move on to the last 7 and 9, where we have Varsho, Espinal, and Kiermaier. Now we also made a bit of a change that we'll discuss about. I'll let you discuss it, Peter. Now, so this was our original,
Yeah.
ranking, but there's two ways you can do it. This is still perfectly fine, though. If you want to, I guess I'll let you take over here. It's removing Kiermaier from the equation against lefties.
Yeah, so what I'm doing here, yeah, sorry to cross you up there, Nick, but I sent you this earlier in the day. Then I thought about it. I'm like, uh, why do I have two lefties in the lineup here? Like the whole thing about the Jays is that they've always had so many righties, you know. So I took out Kevin Kiermaier. I moved Dalton Varsho down to eight. I moved Espinal up to seven because he's got an 800 plus OPS against left-handed pitchers, and he's the power is not necessarily off the charts. He's got more power against lefties than he does against righties, but he hits for an unbelievable average. He gets on base better than he does against righties, and he should be in there every time there's a left-handed pitcher um, on the other team. So I would put Espinal seventh. Jansen, I like him at sixth, like we showed over there. I think he's gonna catch quite a bit. I don't think Kirk's gonna be in there too much, as much as he was last year. And I put Merrifield in left field. So now if you pop it up for me one more time, Nick, seven through nine, you look at that. So then Espinal moves to seven. He's a second base every day when there's a lefty on the mound. Varsho gets moved down to eighth, who plays center field, and then left field is Whit Merrifield. So that's and then if you have a lead late in the game, that's when you put Kevin Kiermaier into center field. Dalton Varsho moves back over to left field.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Honestly, what we had here is honestly could work as well, and I would not be surprised to see this. Maybe depending on what pitcher we have in the mound. Sometimes this is obviously the superior defensive lineup, having Varsho in left and Kiermaier in center. But also, I think it'll depend how Kiermaier plays. If he's playing and hitting lefties well, and then maybe they just keep him out there, especially because he has platinum glove defense. But let us know what your thoughts are on our lineups. It's it's a very hard thing to do because obviously it's very fluid, but. I don't know. Let us know. We'll move on to the next topic now, which will touch on a big AL East trade that went down a couple hours ago here. And we'll touch on it for a couple minutes. It's involving the Red Sox and the Kansas City Royals. So, trade news: the Boston Red Sox are acquiring shortstop Alberto Mondesi from the Kansas City Royals. Deal is done. Players are being informed. And the official deal is Mondesi and a player to be named later for left-handed reliever Josh Taylor. Mondesi gets a change of scenery, and Royals get an effective lefty who missed 2022 with back issues. Now, Peter, do you have any thoughts on the trade, how it may affect the Blue Jays, or more so, I guess, how it could affect the Red Sox going forward? Or do you think it's a bit of a wait and see kind of thing with Mondesi?
I think Mondesi's a really good player. The only problem with him is that he's just never healthy. You know, he's always hurt, and that's been the big thing for his career there. Now, Mondesi is solid. He runs like the wind. He's a switch hitter, but he just can't stay on the field, and that's his big issue. I hope he can figure that out. I still don't think it helps the Red Sox out a ton. It's more of a desperation move for them because Trevor Story's out for the season. They lost Xander Bogaerts, and now what do? You go out and get a shortstop on the cheap that has still some potential, and just see what he can do from there.
Yeah, exactly right. And they it seems like they may have swung and missed on Sung Kim from the Padres because they were apparently going for him for a while. But clearly, I guess they ended up with Mondesi, who had one good year, 2018, hitting wise, phenomenal defender, phenomenal runner, but hasn't been able to get the bat going, probably because of the injury. So I don't think it's too much of a big deal. A bit of a worry from the Blue Jays side. You can see their lineup here, and nothing too threatening. Obviously, Yoshida, Enrique Hernandez, Devers, Turner, Verdugo. It's not too scary from a Jays perspective. And if you're a Red Sox fan, let me know your thoughts on the deal. Obviously, I mean, it's better than nothing. They needed to do something, and I don't know if this was necessarily the move that moves them any closer to competing with the Rays, Jays, Yankees, and even Orioles at this point. But I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. But let's get into the last topic now, which is a very quick thing. Quick free agent update revolving around Gurriel, not Lourdes Gurriel, but Yuli Gurriel. So reports came out a while ago that he was going to be, signing or close to signing with the Miami Marlins. However, that seems to have stifled. John Heyman tweeted today that hearing Yuli Gurriel isn't seen as a certainty to go to the Marlins now. Talks appear to have cooled. What are your thoughts on Yuli Gurriel? Maybe going to the Marlins. Obviously, it's not really a need for the Blue Jays. Just wanted to throw that in there while free agency is hot. Yuli Gurriel is a great player, but unfortunately, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what team. I'm hoping he doesn't go to an AL East team because I could see him terrorizing the Jays for years.
Well, if he's going to go to an AL East team, it would probably either be the Orioles or the Red
Yeah,
Sox. Maybe the Rays. I don't know. I could see him going to the Rays if they have the money to throw at him there. But I don't know if he's not what he used to be. He's getting up there in age. He's going to be 37 by next season. The power again has declined drastically. He still puts the ball in play, but he's a negative defender at first base. So anyone who gets him, you're basically getting a primary DH that doesn't hit for much power. So maybe if it was a couple of years ago, if he was still in his prime, then yeah, I'd probably be scared if he were to go to an AL East team. But I don't know. I don't see him making that much of an impact. It would be good for the Marlins because their lineup is just so up and down, and they don't have too many weapons 1 through 9. But I don't think he's what he used to be. So it's too bad for the Marlins because they look like they're trying to win and they're trying to make moves to get better. But who a guy at the tail end of his career, does he necessarily want to go to a team that's probably not going to win a World Series? You don't know that.
yeah, probably not. And it'll be very interesting to see. Obviously, there's no relation to the Jays regarding him simply because we already have a big enough logjam. But it'll be interesting to see where he does end up going. And that'll wrap up the video. We're so close to 6,000 subscribers. Thank you for all the support, and we'll see you guys in tomorrow's video.
Thanks.